What is up, YouTube? It's your girl Rochelle, and I'm back with another video. Thank you guys for tuning in, liking, sharing, and subscribing. You guys at abomb.com. Now, in today's video, we are going to talk about how our budget could possibly be affected by the government shutdown. We know it started on October 1st, and I just want to share with you guys some changes that we are already making to our budget and just our financial overall overview, just in case Micah's job does get affected. If that's something you want to see, then definitely stick around. It matters for families like mine because of the uncertainty, right? And I am just not a woe is me type of person. I tend to be solution oriented. I tend to look ahead. I tend to have a more positive outlook when I can be in control of the things I can, right? So the first thing that I am so glad that we already started doing was having income diversity and spending diversity. I feel like that it has been a major, major key as to why we are, despite this economy, still able to pay down debt as quickly as possible. So in this episode, we're going to talk about how we can prepare our household and yours and remain calm. And I think that that is important because there's always going to be stuff, right? We have survived so many things. I'm an 80s baby, okay? So I just look back on all the things that have taken place and I'm just like, man, no wonder I needed therapy. But first off, let's talk about how this shutdown could affect our income. Now, when I say our income, I mean my husband's W-2 income. He gets paid biweekly, and he definitely makes the most money in our household. Now, something that I have been slowly working on for the past year or so is increasing my income. Especially with my sister-loc's income. I've really been trying to grow that. But most of my clients do work in some form of the government. So I want to make sure that I have a backup plan in case I need to pivot. Now, of course, we've seen it before, but being proactive is definitely something that I think needs to be talked about more often. We can't say we didn't see this coming. We've been a part of a government shutdown before in years past. And in fact, I've been living in Hawaii for so long that this is our second time experiencing a government shutdown in what is, to me, the most expensive state. I know, people say New York is expensive, California is expensive, but I think that the thing that makes it different about Hawaii is we only have so many choices. So there's only so many stores. Everything is imported, shipped in. There's just not a lot of choice when it comes to controlling your spending dollars. And we, imagine going in a supermarket and having a taste for a certain fruit and going in there and they're like, what? First off, what type of fruit is that? Because it's not even something that's locally sourced from the West Coast or from other islands. And they're just like, what? So it's just a whole different ball game over here. And it's something that I don't really talk about a lot, but in this economy, here we go. Now, even if you're not affected by this whole government, maybe you don't work as an employee for the government, shutdowns always tend to trickle down to local jobs, state jobs that are random, big corporation jobs. And so I think it's always a good idea to have these conversations in your family circles so that you can come up with a plan to be proactive. That's just a me thing. Now let's talk about our immediate budget adjustments. In terms of bills and categories I'd like to reduce first, I've definitely had my eye on subscriptions. And so one subscription that I mentioned in one of my recent videos, I just canceled that bad boy. And that is my Instagram subscription so that I can stay verified. If you've ever seen like a blue check mark next to these Instagram handle names, to me, it's such a con. It's such a scam, right? You have to pay basically $16 a month to prove that you are you. And it's a whole verification process. Don't get it twisted. You can't just sign up. First off, you have to be invited. You have to have a certain amount of followers. I don't know. It seems like it's different across the board. It doesn't matter about the exact number, but I had to request. I kept getting denied. And the whole reason I initially wanted it is because I kept seeing all these people repurpose my content as their own and become monetized And it was to the point that people were reporting me for being me. And so I said, no, not over here. And so that's one of the reasons that I went through the verification process. Now, when you apply, you have to show your ID. It's like a whole thing. It's like applying for a job, y'all. And so it was initially a lot of work on the front end, but I've been paying for that for a couple of years now. And I just feel like I don't have that much of an Instagram presence. It's not that much engagement wise. I've just always been a YouTube girly. So I'm going to stay where I know I'm loved and appreciated and where I enjoy the space, and that is YouTube. So we let that go. I also let go of Hootsuite 2 months ago. I tried the free trial. It's an excellent thing. It's an excellent app, whatever. Basically, it helps you to always have social media content posted, scheduled, ready to go. It's pretty flawless, but it is $150 a month. And that is if you pay for the monthly subscription. They do have an annual, which costs a little less. I think it brings the cost down to $100 a month, but you got to pay for 12 months upfront to get that discount. Again, in this economy, I kind of feel like we've lost the plot. And just to give you an idea of how long I've been on social media, because sometimes I have to remind myself, I don't have the receipts, but I was one of the early Hootsuite users back when it was free. So imagine, like, it was that good in the beginning. It might not have had auto posting or some of those newer features, but Hootsuite was always good, and it was good as a free source. Now, I'm not saying everything should stay free, and I was willing to pay, $10, $20, what it is. I mean, you're talking about their competition being ones like Buffer. Buffer is like $60 a month, and they mess up all the time. So Hootsuite knows its worth. But just definitely take a look at your categories, your subscriptions, your eating out, your extras. And I always say, don't be so quick to cut from the fun categories. Sometimes you can make the biggest impact to your budget by looking at your housing and your car costs, because those are probably the two most expensive things you spend money on anyway. Okay, so now let's talk about things that are non-negotiables for me. These are things that they're going to stay protected. They don't have to worry about getting canceled in our household. For one thing for us is rent. And I'm going to go ahead and say, even if it increases, it just is what it is. We already have been notified by our landlord that our rent is going up at some point later on this year. She said that earlier this year. It's October. It still hasn't happened yet. I'm staying quiet. I am not rocking the boat. Another thing is our car. We're not going to, sell our car. We looked at the value of our car. It doesn't even make sense for us to sell it. It literally, the amount that we owe, which is about just under $20K, is the value of the car. So we would essentially just be making a parallel move. And I want to see get the value out of our car, the full value, the paid off value of our car. And so we're going to continue with that. Insurance is something that I am always looking at. It does nothing but go up every 6 months. I have no loyalty to anybody. So I am going to be taking a look at car insurance. I have not jumped in a while. I've paid this insurance company 3 times for 6 months worth of services of coverage for the last 3 cycles. And so I'm definitely going to be looking ahead to 2026 and seeing what we can do and if there's any wiggle room. The one thing about the insurance company that we're with now, it does have convenient features that I do use, such as the app. We honestly, what's funny is in our scenario, we actually get into a lot of car accidents. We have been in 4 car accidents since we've had ownership of this Tesla car. Excuse me. And this car and its safety features, we have relied on them heavily. We have been able to walk away from these accidents. And so that to me is worth something. So the value of the car, the way it's made, and the insurance coverage. We were able to literally just tap, tap, tap in the app because we were never at fault. And just, file our claims, or it even tells you when not to file a claim, because you don't want to take the blame for something that you didn't even cause, right? So just those types of things. I noticed that when I have other insurance carriers, it's a lot more things to figure out. So I'm willing to pay for convenience if I notice that the insurance company is giving you some of that goodness. So, and at the end of the day, they're all high. So do what you can. Now, in terms of stretching grocery money, and if our income does take a dip, I have already started making changes in the food department. I used to be one of those people that made large hauls, Sam's Club, Costco, supermarket hauls, hundreds of dollars. I don't do that anymore. I make a lot of small purchases, $100 or less. And I also pay in cash because I found that if I can, I don't drive. I do drive. We share one car, so I don't drive often. So I will either get it delivered or I will walk to the store. And I have found that by using cash for when I walk to the store for those small purchases, I don't feel it as much and I'm more intentional. Now, for me personally, I have to stay out of the stores. So I actually do better when I could just order my groceries to be delivered and use things like the Walmart Plus. Because if you use it on a certain credit card, they reimburse you for the cost of that delivery. Things like that. I've paid more attention to my credit card usage, and I only use it for things that I can get reimbursed for. And anything else, pay it out, zero it out, pay it in full every month. Now, let's talk about our last high interest credit card plan. Now, most people are saying, build your savings. Maybe you might want to rethink paying down debt at this time. And to each his own, I agree with that. But I also feel that if you are in a position to pay down debt more quickly, and if it's possible for you to speed it up, you should do that. Because I don't want to be looking at this same debt this time next year. I don't want to think about how much interest and how much money I'll make this credit card company if I still have this credit card 12 months from now. And for us, it makes sense, since it is our last high interest credit card, to keep moving the needle and pay this thing down. So we are at credit card number 13, y'all. For reference, if you are new to my channel, we are paying off 15 credit cards. This is credit card number 13. The last two are low interest credit cards. I get a lot of recommendations for balance transfers to no interest credit cards for 12 months. And I want to let you guys know that I did that. I've done debt consolidation. I've done all the things where you move debt around, and I just feel like it's a distraction. It's a distraction for me because I'm so busy putting the energy into moving the debt to save money so I don't pay interest that I'm not making those large payments right away. Now, don't get it twisted. The interest is insane, and if I had all 13 credit cards right now, maybe that would be something I would consider. But since we have made this progress and came this far, your girl is just going to stay where I'm at and pay this last credit card down and never worry about it again. So do what makes sense for you. Do what makes sense for you. So basically the point is that we're not stopping progress. We're just approaching it in a smarter way. Our plan is to also pay more attention to our sinking funds and our emergency cushion. I won't say emergency. I like to call it a just in case fund, just to strategize and be ready for what may come up next. And so our goal is to, yes, pay down debt, but also build our savings. So I shared that with you guys in my latest September budget recap. So you can check out that video on that and you can find out what our progress has been in that area. Now, we're still using the velocity banking. We're just being smarter with it. Let's talk about the HELOC and how sinking funds can really protect you. For one thing, the HELOC has definitely given us breathing room. We have not added any additional debt, which I'm very proud of us for. But when I say I have never worked harder to not mess up with our money. So the HELOC brings in this level of responsibility that where you just feel like, okay, let me stop playing. This is grown folk stuff now. Like, we are truly adulting. The HELOC is not something you want to mess with because it is directly tied to your property. Now, for us, it is our investment property. We don't live in the property, but it's still very important to us because the property is paid off. So we don't have a primary mortgage on that property. So we don't play about this HELOC. We make sure they get their money every month. So if you are considering that strategy with velocity banking and using a vehicle like the HELOC, definitely do your research. I have plenty of content. I have plenty in my HELOC playlist where you can go back and see that we are on year 3 of this journey. So this is not something that is just, something that you can do quickly. You have to let it do its work over time, and you have to be responsible with it. And the good thing that do like about the HELOC is if something were to change dramatically, we can still pay our bills by using the HELOC. Even if I'm the one working and Micah is not working, all my income would continue to go into that HELOC, and I would be able to pay for all of our bills. And if I'm doing it right, I won't accrue interest on the new, on the use of the HELOC if I'm doing it right. In this time of uncertainty, I feel like I say this all the time. If you are not communicating with your financial circle, whoever that is, your spouse, even your kids, I feel like kids and teenagers need to be in on these conversations because you want to prepare them for when it's their turn to deal with this, economic downturn. It's going to happen again. It's just inevitable. So why not prepare your kids and help them live through it now so that they can feel empowered to not play the victim, but instead play the survivor and play the thriver in these scenarios. So I don't shield anything from Eva. Eva is a part of these conversations. She watches me record. She listens to me when I'm doing my research and I'm watching content to learn. She sees the whole thing. And I think that that's important because it doesn't feel scary. It just feels like, okay, this is how it is sometimes. And this is what my mom and dad did so that we're still okay. And she even said the other day, she's like, Mom, you do such a good job. I was like, thank you, boo. She was like, yeah, I see you making sure we got food in the house, making sure. She was like, because I saw it, because she doesn't really have social media access. She has it for her business, Eva's Hawaiian Shea Butter. But she does see like things every once in a while. She was like, Mom, I see we're in the middle of a government shutdown. She was like, does that affect Daddy's paycheck? I know he's still going to work, but that, so she's kind of like, if you got kids, you know what I mean? If you got nieces, you know what I mean? So I think it's important to sit down, look at all the numbers, not play the blame game, be honest, have those tough conversations, because after you get through these moments, you'll realize those conversations might have felt tough in the moment, but they really weren't. Like, it really wasn't that big of a deal. Like, man, I'm glad we did have those conversations because you might come up with ideas that are better than the one you thought you had in your head. So that's just a me thing. Now, so basically, just to recap, 3 simple steps that anybody can copy, no matter if you're using velocity banking, if you're using a traditional budgeting style. Review your budget before and after your income comes in. There's, budget with me videos tend to perform really well. I know from me personally on my channel, like here's my October budget with me video. That video performed really well. When I do the September recap videos, those videos don't really perform. And I don't care. I'm still going to show up and do them because to me, that's the real budget. It's like, hey, what did you do with that September budget? And how did you navigate it? What were your actual numbers? You can have your budgeted numbers, but you need to have your actual numbers. So review your budget before your income changes and after your income changes, before it comes in and after it comes in. Pause the extras, but protect your essentials. So maybe you're not doing date nights, but you're still doing family movie night. Maybe you're eating out once a month or once a week instead of anytime you want. You're just making more calculated decisions so that the impact is felt, but it's not the end of the world. It's not like crushing. And your kids and teenagers are over here like, oh, this is horrible. If you got to do it, you got to do it. But keep what you can. Don't be so quick to cut from the fun. Revisit some of those larger spending areas, such as rent/mortgage, car, gas, and just pivot from there. Number 3, have a backup plan, whether it's sinking funds, emergency funds, cash envelopes, HELOC. Have your plan ready to go. And if you aren't ready, that's okay too. Get ready. Get ready. Imagine the progress you could make from October 1st to December 31st so that your 2026 looks a lot stronger than the way you finished 2025. And if you need help, I have free products on my website, RochelleAdamson.com. I've got free HELOC payoff trackers. I've got free debt trackers, free budgeting trackers. Like, there's no reason why you can't go on my site, any of these other sites out here, and just get started. Do something. Even if you don't want to download any of the freebies, just start with your own pen and paper and come up with and start having those conversations with your family. So even in uncertainty, y'all, we're going to stay calm, cool, and collected. We're going to stay in control of our money. We're going to tell our money where to go instead of it controlling us. And comment. Let me know what changes you would make if your paycheck was all of a sudden delayed, so that you could still survive. And that is it. I will see you guys in the next video. Until then, you know what it is. Peace, love, and budgets.